I'm going to show you my top 5 designs that I designed for costumes when I was running an entertainment company, where the inspiration came from for those designs and what the finished costume turned out like. I am also going to say this really quickly, and I'm sure you may have heard this before, but it is really hot in the UK at the moment. It's like 36 degrees and your girl is ginger and British and not coping. So if I look a bit flustered and a bit shiny, just ignore it. For over 15 years, I ran a dance and entertainment company where we produced variety shows, where we put dancers and performers in events. Before that, I ran a dance school for 8-9 years. So over the years, I have designed and made, and my mum has made, many costumes. These are some of my favourites. So this is probably our top 5 costumes that we've used the most and where the inspiration came from for the design, because I think very often you see a costume and I always do wonder where people got the ideas for the costume. So this is where the inspiration came for our favourite 5 costumes. So if we're doing a countdown, we'll start at number 5. So this is number 5. This is a simple pale pink dress. Over the years we've used it, we've adapted it. Initially she did have a back, but we took the back out and gave her crossback sparkle straps, and various different adaptations over the years. But the main thing about this particular dress is the skirt. We wanted it to have this big flowy skirt. So this is taken inspiration from the Dirty Dancing final dress, which was designed by Hilary Rosenfeld, and that was obviously this big skirt with lots and lots of layers, so when she danced it span right out. And the first number that we ever used this for, we had 3 girls in the number, so we do have 3 of these, although I have to admit I can only find 2 of them. More recently, one was made into a fairy costume, so she had a different layer on. It's also been used as a liesel dress, but it had a layer over the top to cover the sparkles, and have been used in many different productions. But the initial thing that has stayed the same is this full, beautiful, flowy skirt, and that was originally what the design was based on, because it was that beautiful spin from the Dirty Dancing dress. Number 4 in our countdown, this is a set of costumes that I wanted to draw attention to, but these are what we call our Dickensian Christmas card costumes. So we wanted these to look like they had just stepped off a Victorian or a Dickensian Christmas card. So the inspiration from these was very much those sort of old carol singer, snowy, traditional Christmas looks. This is a really good example of mixing, making and sourcing. For example, we went looking for jackets that had the right line for Dickensian and Victorian, and then we added to them. So we added collars that matched the skirts. This one has a skirt as well, and we put this one in a sparkly fabric because whilst that's definitely not Victorian, we wanted to give it a little twist because obviously it was still a showpiece. So this one has a sparkle through the fabric, and the collar is cut to match. They all had hats with them, and this one had a bow that went round the collar as well. So this was a whole Dickensian Victorian look to look like we had stepped straight into a traditional Old English Christmas card.
On without end, their joyful tongue to every home.
Number 3 on our countdown is our Red Showgirl. So our Red Showgirl has been worn a lot, many events. She's leotard based, obviously. She has a backless and then cross sparkle back, which is something that I do quite a lot. I really like backless costumes, and having that sparkle across the back is really nice. So I'm not a massive fan of like see-through straps or like skin straps where you can see them really obviously. So just adding that sequin to it just means that you have some sparkle in the back, but it still looks backless. We've used that a lot. This is obviously beaded and then has the plume. The plume's looking a little bit flat right now because she's been packed away, but she does have a plume. She also has matching sleeve gloves which go down to a fingerless, and she has a plume. Just a little plume. I've worn these costumes many times, but they've been worn by the company over and over. These were initially inspired by an episode of Frasier. I am a massive fan of American sitcoms, and Frasier had an episode where Martin was singing Sunny Side of the Street, and they had these showgirls with these long plumes, and they had these crossbacks, which I obviously was already using and already loved, and they did this showgirl number. So these were initially designed by Frasier's costume designer, who was Audrey Bansmer. So she is the one that can take credit for the original showgirl costumes, and we were very, very inspired by those to make these with the long plumes. Number 4 on the countdown is this 50s dress. I know this doesn't particularly look like a 50s dress, but it is. I took inspiration from this, from the 50s prom dresses, like the rockabilly prom dresses, big skirts. And this does have a big underskirt that goes underneath it as well. So this has a full spin out underskirt, which does go underneath it. When I initially designed these, I wanted a very traditional 50s line. So I wanted a high neck and a big skirt and in at the waist, but I wanted it in very untraditional fabrics. A little bit like the Victorian, where we've added in this sparkle fabric that would never have been around at that time. This we wanted to do a neon fabric. So I wanted it bright as we could get it, and with a twist of these colours. So this is the top, it's leotard based, it's a dance costume, and then we have the flash of colour on the waistband, which also is in the underskirt, which ties in a big bow in the back, and then this neon colour. There was actually 8 or 9 of these made, and all in different colours. So we had like yellow and blue, and we had purple and green, and all these colours that you would not associate with the 50s, but in a very 50s cut. And that was just a way of getting that 50s prom dress in. But because they were doing this, it was a dance initially, the first time the costume was worn, it was a dance to a 50s number and a song to a 50s number. They were singing Teenager in Love, I think, and Dancing to Reap Teat. So we just wanted it to pop with colour instead of having that more muted colours that you associated with the 50s. We thought this would be a more fun take on it.
Why must I be a teenager in love?
This is number 1 on my countdown, and if anyone is watching who has watched anything of Darlie Dance or worked for Dance anyway, hopefully you will recognise this dress, because this is our Holly dress. So this dress has been worn many times over. I wanted to design a dress that was very traditionally Christmas. We were doing a lot of Christmas productions, a lot of Christmas work, so I wanted it to look really Christmas, but I wanted us to be able to wear it at loads of events. At that time we were doing variety shows, but we were also out publicising variety shows, so we were out a lot at events, so it needed to be a little bit more decent in terms of, like, we couldn't go out in the showgirl with the high cut leotards for every event. So this felt a little bit more family friendly because it had the skirt, but also hopefully very symbolic of what we were doing in Christmas. It has a wreath. It's supposed to look like a wreath all the way around the dress. So it's supposed to look like a strapless dress with a Christmas wreath all the way around it. Every single one of these holly leaves was cut and made by my mum, and then I sat and sewed every single one on individually, and it took hours. Genuinely, each dress probably took, just to get the leaves on and the crystals in the leaves, probably took maybe 6 hours just for the leaves. But I love it. It's one of my faves. Every time anyone wears it, I love it. Has a little holly headband to go with it as well, with some sparkle on the back. And obviously she has like gloves with it as well that have a little holly motif on the finger. But this one is the one that we wanted to sort of become a symbol of what we were doing at that time, and it was worn for years. The inspiration for this came from the Rockettes. Kind of that dress was worn over and over and over by the Rockettes, not just for the 12 Days of Christmas, which is what it's worn for in the show, but also in promotions and when they were roundabout and seen. At that time, that dress was kind of what they were wearing, and I wanted us to have the equivalent little dress that was our Christmas symbol for our show. And so that's what the holly dress became. I always find it really interesting to hear where designers and costume designers get their inspiration from. So tell me in the comments what inspires you to design your costume.